Okay, Nick, this is a quadrifier contour before they turned it into the Castillo. It's the same stove, just real old. And this has doors that can just pull open. Yours, I think, have bolts in the back. But inside, that's the fire pot where the pellets fall. This is the thermocouple. It has two dissimilar wires that are twisted together and soldered on the end. And if you remember in science class, when you put two dissimilar metals together, it makes its own voltage. Current flows through them. And when you heat it up, more current or voltage goes through it. And that comes back to the control board to tell it what to do. We'll get more into that later. Anyway, this one's broken. Yours has a, they all have, are supposed to have a cover on it. That's the white thing that you see over top the fire pot. So this is actually under that cover. Okay, of course it has the, oh, there's the cover laying in the fire pot. Look at that. Okay, so that normally goes on there. And it's real important to have this cover all the way back so that the tip of the thermocouple is at the tip of the cover. Like that, and you want it to stick out like 1.5 inches into the fire pot. And of course, has the trap door that pulls open to clean out the fire pot. And then these holes down here, it's real important to keep them clean because that's where the main air comes from, to blow air into the pellets to keep them burning right. And down on the other side of the fire pot, down in here, there's a slot at the bottom, and that's for when the igniter comes on to light the pellets. And the igniter is right there. It goes in there. So it's just a heating element that gets hot and lights the pellets up. Okay, inside the stove you have the two back baffles and then the baffle on the top. And so that's the main things you want to focus on when you clean the stove. And this top baffle, there's a little catch up in here. And I think that's on yours too. I think yours is the older model that still has this catch. And that holds it in. So when you take that baffle down to clean it, you have to push up from the back and then move that catch out of the way, and then that top baffle comes out. Then under that are your heat exchanger tubes, and that's where the air is blowing through here, these tubes, and then coming out up here. That's where you get all your hot air from. So it's real important that these are clean. So I just take a paintbrush and go up and clean them out real good, because ash is a real good insulator, and when they get ash on them, they don't make as much heat. These are the scrapers. You just, when you're cleaning it, you pull them up and you can see how that goes on the tubes. And they do a pretty good job of keeping it clean. And these baffles come out. And then you can see everything in there. There's the exhaust blower. That's what's pulling the air through the stove and blowing it out the pipe. And to make it easy to clean when I'm doing this at home, if you unplug the stove and plug it back in with the thermostat turned off, that blower will run for 20 minutes. So you can pull these panels off, and you don't even have to have your vacuum cleaner going, because all the dust that you knock around goes right out the exhaust and will blow out through the pipe. So that's pretty easy. Then you have on the door, that door gasket. You want to make sure that's not all frayed up and leaking air, because it won't burn efficiently if it is. On this model, they tried to be real fancy, and you could put a loaf of bread in there and make it warm. Of course, yours doesn't have that. They took that away. Probably because people were, well, you could put your gloves and stuff in there, but people were probably trying to make cookies or something on there, and then they'd burn, and they'd call and bitch about that. So anyway, yours doesn't have that. So that's pretty simple. There is a gasket between the fire pot and the floor. It's down in there. You can kind of see it, it's white. And I can't remember if I looked at yours or not. I don't think I really did, but they blow out after time. And then instead of the air going through the fire pot, it'll go through here, and then you lose your nice sharp flame that you want. It'll start to burn black and stuff on the glass. Okay, so we'll put this back together. These panels have ears on them. And they go in slots on the side. You get them in there like that, and then you just lift up and they slide right in the slots. And you want that to be against the floor so air doesn't leak through there. So you get the inside part in first. And then the outside. Make sure it's against the floor. You're good to go. This part here is where the pellets drop down. Take a look up in there. And you can just see the auger I can get it just right. It's that metal coil looking thing in there. There's a hole you can see there. That's show you that later. But that's where the pellets drop down. Okay, so now the top baffle has to go in. And this has catches on the ends. Thanks. So those catches, you want that to go in the slots. And then when you're putting this in, if yours has this catch-de-do, you have to lift up with your finger and then you crush your finger so that you can get that in there. And you won't need that finger anymore. And that's in. And then you line up the thing, go like that, and make sure it's in there good and you're done. Okay. In the next video, that's basically how you clean. One more thing. It's real good down in the hopper. Down inside here, you can see that's the auger. Let me get my pointer. That's the auger. And that turns and then the pellets feed up and they drop down. We're at the drop tube inside there. In the springtime or whenever, it's good to empty all the pellets out and then take your vacuum down there and suck everything out of there, and you can bang on the auger and all kinds of sawdust and stuff will drop down, and that sawdust will start to block off the correct amount of pellets from feeding, and then you'll start to have problems with the stove working right. This rod right here is a pellet feed limit adjuster, and if it's all the way down, you'll never feed enough pellets. On these cast steels, I always pull it all the way up and then go down just a little bit, like maybe 1/4 of an inch, and then tighten it up and you'll be good to go. Okay, so that's video 1 on how to clean your pellet stove.